Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official college football top 5 parlays here for bowl season. We've got an absolute smorgasbord to pick from here, guys, and this might just be a part 1. I might do another one of these videos next week with 5 more parlays. But this is a really good video to see some of my favorite bets as they develop. We've seen a ton of line movement, and these are all updated odds. These are all updated with all of the opt-outs. I just did these parlays, so let's get right into it with my safe parlay. It's safe, it's secure, guys. It's been winning every week. It is unbelievable. Starting UAB moneyline versus Miami of Ohio. So guys, this safe parlay, it's going to be very simple. It's going to be all moneyline favorites, and I am so confident in UAB. Don't let the 6-6 record fool you. They're a lot better than that. Miami of Ohio, you can argue, is like the 3rd worst team to make a bowl game. They're simply not good, and UAB sitting at around 10.5 point favorites, I believe, in this one. To start off the bowl season, you get an early win under your belt. We will certainly take that. Next, we've got Oregon State on the money line versus Florida. So Florida is missing Anthony Richardson, their top defensive tackle, their top offensive guard. They're getting ravaged once again by the opt-outs. We remember a few seasons ago, they played in the Cotton Bowl against, I think it was that Lincoln Riley Oklahoma team, and they got destroyed with Kyle Trask. This is a similar situation. They're losing everyone right now to the opt-outs. This line opened Oregon State -7.5, and I was actually optimistic on taking Florida until they had about 10 opt-outs, and now Oregon State is -11, and they seem like an auto lock to win this game. I think they're -430 on the money line, so we'll take them. And then we've got Georgia Southern money line versus Buffalo. So this might be the risky one here, if you want to say it, but I just love the situation Georgia Southern currently is in. Their starting quarterback was on Buffalo last year, I believe, so there's the revenge factor, and Buffalo has just simply not been good. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games. The only reason they're in a bowl game, I believe, is because they I think they do have 7 wins, but they came back against Akron and won by a point, and Akron is terrible. So Georgia Southern, they can score a ton. Maybe I like the over in this game as well, but it just feels like, yeah, Georgia Southern -3 is the play. Georgia Southern on the money line is the play. And then finally, we're going to go in on Minnesota money line versus Syracuse. Minnesota right now, PJ Fleck, they've got so much momentum. There's a lot of hype in that program. They've had a good season. Syracuse is an absolute dead door. They're done. They have no offense. They started off the season 5-0. They've lost a bunch of games. I understand Minnesota can't throw, but they have a good running game. I'm not expecting any opt-outs. I haven't seen any yet. And right now, they're 7.5 point favorites. That's the Pinstripe Bowl. That is going to be a cold weather game taking place at Yankee Stadium. So guys, the overall odds on that one, it is a safe parlay. It's 4 picks, all just money line. You can see the Georgia Southern is only -170. The other 3 range from -300 to -400. It is safe and secure. I feel very confident in all of these teams winning their games straight up. Moving on to my second parlay, we're going to go in on Fresno State -1 versus Washington State. Washington State, their top 2 wide receivers opting out, and Fresno State opened like +4. They're all the way to -1. I love Fresno State winning this game outright. They've been on a warpath. They've been great, guys, ever since they got their starting quarterback back. This is a team that very easily, without injuries, could have had 10 or 11 wins and been ranked and really been thought of a lot more highly. And again, Washington State dealing with the receivers opting out. I think they're going to lose that game straight up. We've got UConn versus Marshall. I am buying a bunch of points here. I'm taking the under 52.5. That's -475. So this is a brutal matchup for UConn's offense in particular against a very good Marshall defense. Marshall's playing phenomenally here, especially their defense at the end of the season. And UConn, for as fun as they are, they go crazy, they make a bowl game. their offense is not explosive. There's very little explosive plays, and they're facing a tough defense. Very hard for them to score a lot of points in this one. I want to be safe. I want to be secure here. It is a parlay, so utilize the fact that it's being multiplied to your advantage. You don't have to take UConn Marshall under 43 or whatever it actually is. If you're parlaying it, if you're multiplying it, buy a dummy line, buy a bunch of points so you get an auto lock. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm taking the under 52.5. Marshall's offense is nothing to write home about. UConn, they play hard on defense. I think that game goes under. UCLA moneyline versus Pitt. Pittsburgh dealing with the transfer portal there with the quarterback. They've been terrible. They just don't have a good offense in general, even though they do have a nice running back. UCLA, Chip Kelly, they're really going to put it on Pittsburgh, guys. I like UCLA to win this game. Huge, but it is a parlay, so we will just take them on the money line. Wyoming versus Ohio, the under 43. So I'm not buying any points here, but I just love this situation. Wyoming, there's a huge trend with their games going under, especially in the second half of the season. And we saw what Ohio was without their starting quarterback. They scored 7 points in a dome against Toledo. Wyoming doesn't score a lot as it is. Ohio, without their starting quarterback, they don't score a lot either. The under 43, it's simple mathematics, folks. Let's be honest about it. And there is the overall 14 parlay, plus around 500 on that one. Moving on to my third parlay, Minnesota versus Syracuse. We're taking the under 42.5. And guys, remember, this is the pinstripe game. It's going to be 20 degrees. It's in New York City, or it's in the Bronx. And these two teams, they can't throw. Syracuse can't do anything on offense. Minnesota's going to want to keep it a lower scoring game. This game's, you're looking at something like 27-13 type deal in the Pinstripe Bowl. Although I will say that doesn't leave us a ton of wiggle room because the total would be 40. It might behoove you to buy a few points on that one. That's a low number, 42.5. But again, I think the reason it's so attractive to me is because Minnesota can't throw and Syracuse can't do anything. That's why it's attractive to me. Oklahoma versus Florida State, the over 65. As long as there's no opt-outs, as long as Dylan Gabriel's playing, Oklahoma's been playing higher scoring games. The last game of their season, I think, had a combined like 85 points versus Texas Tech. Florida State has a great offense, and they do allow some points. Jordan Travis has been unbelievable in the second half of the season. I believe this game is in a warmer climate, should have no weather effects. I think it's good value. I would put the over-under in this game right around 70, just because I think it's back and forth, especially the way Oklahoma's been playing with Florida State's offense as well. Number 3, Michigan moneyline versus TCU. So guys, this game feels like TCU has already accomplished their goal and everything else is gravy, as opposed to Michigan. They were here last year, right? So now they're like, listen, we're big favorites in this game. Let's win it. We're a no-nonsense football team. We have more talent than TCU. They are going to be so driven to win this game against TCU, in my opinion. Nothing against TCU, but let's be honest. TCU had several lucky wins, close wins, and then they lost their last game. So I'm really liking Michigan. It just feels like TCU is kind of already, it feels like they're just happy to be there, as opposed to Michigan. They were happy to be here last year because they beat Ohio State for the first time in forever. Now they're like, listen, we've done this before. We need to win this game. We're favorites. I like Michigan to win that game. I don't know if they'll cover. And then the Ohio State-Georgia, the over 61, even without JSN for Ohio State. Georgia's defense, especially their pass defense, is a real problem. I think Ohio State goes up tempo in this game. And then Georgia's offense, as surprising as it may be, Stetson Bennett has been very efficient. Ohio State's pass defense is not good. You're talking about this game. I mean, we just saw Georgia play a game where it was 50-30. The Ohio State-Michigan game was high scoring. Both of these teams recently have trended upon playing higher scoring games. It's in a dome. There's going to be no weather impacts. I like the over in that one. And then this is the overall 14 parlay. It is plus 816. A lot of over-unders along with a Michigan money line. Moving on to my fourth parlay, we're going to go San Diego State money line versus Middle Tennessee State. I also love the under in this game. But guys, San Diego State, when you take a look at the analytics and stuff, they're significantly better. And now I think they're 7-point favorites. They opened -3 or -4, and now they're just, they're big favorites. Everyone putting money on San Diego State in that one because of their defense. Wisconsin versus Oklahoma State. The under 43. So taking an under 43 in an Oklahoma State game, it doesn't feel right. But guys, Wisconsin, without Graham Mertz, they have no quarterback. Oklahoma State, just in general, has done nothing. Their starting quarterback is transferred. Both of these starting quarterbacks are in the transfer portal. That's why the over-under is so low. But honestly, guys, as I think about it, I think it might be better just to take Wisconsin money line. And even that bet is kind of risky because their quarterback situation, but it just feels like Wisconsin, there's a lot of excitement in that program with Luke Fickell and things like that. Oklahoma State, it seems like they're dead in the water right now. But again, it's so hard to see this game being higher scoring with the situation surrounding both of the quarterbacks being in the portal. NC State moneyline versus Maryland. I just think NC State is a more stable program, even with their fourth string quarterback. They've shown they have a good defense. Maryland's been really inconsistent. I will say Maryland ended the season really strong. They had that game against Ohio State where they played them really tough, and then they annihilated Rutgers and easily covered a 14-point spread. So Maryland is trending up, but they've been off for a while. NC State, I just have more faith in their program. This game is basically a pick-em. I think Maryland right now is 1.5-point favorites, and I like NC State's defense just a little bit more. Maybe they're able to force a turnover and get a close win. LSU moneyline versus Purdue. So Purdue, the coaching situation, obviously they've gone now to 10-point underdogs. They were +7, now they're +10. LSU seems very likely they're going to easily win this game. I think that is the Citrus Bowl, maybe, I believe. So I got LSU there. And then Utah moneyline versus Penn State. I just don't think Utah loses back-to-back Rose Bowls. And Penn State is dealing with an opt-out with Joey Porter Jr. So I will take Utah. They've got such great momentum coming off that big win, knocking USC out of the playoffs. They are an extremely balanced football team on offense and defense. This will be a really good Rose Bowl, but I like Utah to win it outright. That is a 5-team parlay, maybe a little bit more of a crazy odds on that one, plus 1,000 total for that one. And then my fifth and final parlay, we're going to go UTSA moneyline versus Troy. So this is basically a pick-em. This is the Cure Bowl. It is the big matchup between 11-2 teams. There was news this morning that Frank Harris is actually coming back for his 7th season for UTSA because they were able to get an NIL deal done with him. So I think there's going to be a lot of hype surrounding that program. He's going to be energized to play really well. I like UTSA's offensive upside more than Troy. I know Troy plays better defense. Trust me, I really do respect what Troy's done, but UTSA gets it done with a few more explosive plays. Louisville moneyline versus Cincinnati. So Cincinnati dealing with the coaching issues. This line overall is -1.5 for Louisville. I did hear there might be a concern about Malik Cunningham sitting this game out due to the I guess maybe preparing for the draft, or he might have an injury. But guys, the other thing I will say, one of my favorite bets based on everything that's gone on, with Ben Bryant being out for Cincinnati, with maybe Malik Cunningham being out for Louisville, I love the under 42 in this game. It's an 11 a.m. start. It's the Fenway Bowl. It's got under written all over it. 11 a.m., possibly 2 backup quarterbacks. I think Louisville wins because Cincinnati will be without Luke Fickell. But either way, guys, the under is really good in that game. Toledo versus Liberty, the under 53.5. So Toledo, their starting quarterback is banged up. He was knocked out of the MAC championship game in the third quarter. Liberty at this point is totally dead in the water. Hugh Freeze bails on him. 53.5 to me is too much in that game. That's just my opinion. Clemson moneyline versus Tennessee, the Orange Bowl. Just a lot of hype around Clemson right now. Tennessee without Hendon Hooker, it's going to be very hard for them. Clemson, I believe, opened -4.5, and they've been bet up already to -7. And I agree with them. You know, the hype surrounding the true freshman quarterback destroying North Carolina, giving up only 10 points to Drake May. It is impressive, and I'll just take them on the money line versus Tennessee. So that is the overall 14 parlay plus around 800 odds on that one. So again, guys, I might come out with a part 2 with even more parlays next week, because still, I don't think the first bowl game happens until next Thursday or next Wednesday. So we still do have a little while. I will certainly give updated predictions on some of these games based on the opt-outs as well. That'll probably be coming early next week. But these are my favorite bets and favorite parlays right now. So guys, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.